Thank you, Yelena. Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Church of Los Alamos. I'm Rebecca Howard, and I use she, her pronouns, and I am a worship associate for our congregation. Whoever you are, whomever you love, whatever your image of the holy, wherever you are on your life's journey, you are welcome here. If this is your first time with us, we'd love to get to know you. Please sign our guest sign-in book in the foyer. You can also speak with our greeter, Mike McNaughton, myself, I'm the chair of the membership committee, or Reverend Tina for more information about our church. If you're joining us online, hello. Please sign our virtual guest book. The link is located in the notes below the video. You can also submit a virtual joy or sorrow to be read next week in our service. To learn more about our spiritual enrichment programs for all ages, please feel free to talk to Elizabeth Portillos, our Lifespan Spiritual Enrichment Assistant and Teacher. Tara Louise, our Director of Lifespan Spiritual Enrichment, is out for the month of July on vacation and will be back in August. You can also check the table in the foyer under the TV on the wall there for more information about our spiritual enrichment programming. For kids here in our service, we have our activity table up front, and Otto just came up here. We ask that kids use whisper voices to talk at this table. Kids can also stay seated with their parents. Parents and kids can also sit in our library room to hear the service. And we have a nursery for young kiddos, 0 to 3 years. And Elizabeth is our nursery attendant today, but I don't see any little ones. So we have our candles of community over here and in the back. You're invited to come up during the first hymn or now or any time before the prayer time to light a candle. And if you would also like to, you're welcome to write your joy or sorrow in the book. Please go ahead and silence your cell phones this morning as we begin our worship service together. You're now invited to greet your neighbor by introducing yourself. If you would rather just wave and not shake hands, that's okay too. I'll call us back with the chime.
Hello, good morning. I am the Reverend Tina DeYoe. I use she, her pronouns. And we have some announcements today, numerous announcements for us this morning. And so today we have our second Sunday forum that's going to be happening right after the service here in the sanctuary with Diane Smoger, the director of Self-Help Inc. And she's going to be here to give us an update on self-help's work, helping people in our community and our region. These needs will most likely increase in the coming year, and so it will be important to hear her updates and how we can continue to get involved with their work in helping others. So please stay after for our second Sunday forum today. Also today we have our Creative Connections craft group, and you can go to the forum and then go to the craft group. You can do both. So they'll be meeting in the back classroom all the way at the end of the hall. It has newly been renamed to our Create classroom, I think. Is that correct? Yeah. Create, yeah. classroom. So that's from 12 to 3. So if you'd like to craft and be creative with others, please do that today. And you can talk to Barb Franzak about when they'll be meeting next. But they're meeting today. Next Saturday, we have a summer movie night. So please come. It is a movie on our July theme of empathy, and it's Inside Out 2. Raise your hand. Maybe some of you have seen Inside Out 2. Yeah, or 1. So we'll have popcorn, and then the service will be themed around the themes of that movie on next Sunday. Now, also next Saturday, there's going to be a clothing sale here from 12 to 2:30 p.m. here at the church to benefit future Los Alamos Pride activities and LGBTQ plus social justice needs as they arise in our community. So please come to this sale next Saturday. Also, if you have clothes you want to donate to the sale, please bring them on Friday from 12 to 3 or during the sale on Saturday. And talk to Ellen Mills, waving her hand there, for more information about this clothing sale. We're all about getting help to people in need right now. As we know, lots of those resources are being stripped away from people in our country. So please consider helping out with that clothing sale and buying some clothes too. Also, next Sunday, we have a potluck. So please bring some salads, breads, desserts to share. We'll have a potluck together in the fellowship hall. And then ongoing, we wanted to alert you to, we have started the summer backpack drive for refugee children. There are pickup boxes in the foyer for those backpacks filled with supplies, and the supply lists are out on the table in the foyer. So you can grab one of those and fill it with a bunch of supplies. You can buy gift cards to Target or Walmart as well if you want to include those in the backpacks. And then also, an email is going to be going out about the Minister Mutual Aid Fund, which is also known as the Minister Discretion Fund. And I'm kind of rebranding it, renaming it a little bit to Minister Mutual Aid. And I want to let people know, and for you all to know as well, if you hear of needs in our community when resources are being stripped away and people are losing jobs or whatever may happen, that we have this mutual aid fund here. They can come to me and talk to me about their needs, whether that's utility bills, rent, mortgage payments, groceries, medical bills, whatever it may be. Please let our community members know that we have this mutual aid fund, minister discretion fund, and that people are able to use it. So I just am going to be writing an email about this week. So please, just be eyes and ears on the ground for people in our community that are in need in these times. And that is all of our announcements. So let us come in to worship together this morning. We come together as a community every Sunday to pause and worship together. Worship creates connections within, among, and beyond us, calling us to live with wisdom and calling us to live with compassion. Our worship theme for the month of July is empathy. Empathy is the cure to division in our world. Empathy makes us stronger. And today, we are fortunate to be exploring empathy through poetry. A lot of poetry is empathic. We have some of our church members that will be sharing their poems on this topic of empathy with us this morning. And we know that creative outlets are essential right now in our world as we seek to continue to cultivate empathy, dive into our own emotions, and seek out what brings us joy. So before we light our chalice today, I want to call attention to the rock. Here's the rock. That has been placed in front of our chalice. Ann Sherman, one of our members of our church, brought this rock back to our congregation, and it is a rainbow rock that she picked up from the Stonewall Inn in New York City. Here is Ann's reflection that she said I could share with us here, as she will be out of town until August. So Ann's words: I have been curious about seeing the Stonewall Inn in Greenwich Village since I first heard about it. With the removal of different gender identities from the description on the national website, I was even more determined to visit this special place with its importance to recognition and support of LGBTQ+ people. When we arrived at the park, we were greeted with flags decorating it for the celebration on June 28th for the recognition of the riots that led to the turning point for their rights. There was a collection of rainbow-painted rocks asking people to take and share them to help celebrate Pride Month. I felt that bringing it to our UU congregation was a perfect way to spread love. So that is a riot rock, a rock of resistance and resilience that we will be putting in front of our chalice now from Ann Sherman. And our chalice lighting words that Rebecca picked out, the spark of love, go with this rock as well.
These words are by Anastasia Birosh. The spark of love resides in us all. We are free to act from it or not. If we choose love, how will love shape what we do? If we choose love, how will it improve our actions? If we choose love, how will I treat those around me? If I choose love, will I find it when life gets hard? If I choose love, will you also choose love? Love begets love, and it is love that lights our chalice. So you are invited now to rise in body and/or spirit for our opening hymn, number 298. please remain standing for our affirmation. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve life in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow in harmony. Thus do we covenant with each and with all. Please be seated.
So if the young is number 1 on, thank you. If the young and young in heart would like to come forward for a time for all ages, you guys can come up and sit on the carpet. So how many of y'all know the word empathy? Have you heard it? Yeah? Do you have maybe a definition that you would use for empathy? Yeah, Ari? Yeah. Yeah, so Ari said it's like feeling someone else's feelings with them to help make them feel better. I think that's a great definition. Ding, 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 you win a star! A star of empathy! Yeah, exactly. It's feeling someone else's feelings, right? Kind of, like we like to use the metaphor of walking in someone else's shoes. Have you heard that before, maybe? Yeah? Yeah? So today, we're talking about poems that deal with empathy, okay? So feeling someone else's feelings, feeling our feelings. And so how many of you know what acrostic poems are? Have you done an acrostic poem ever? No? Maybe? No? You kind of know what they are? Yeah. You did once. Okay. You what? This is about a watermelon. Oh, an acrostic. Okay. And you know what a poem is? Yeah, what's a poem? What do you, yeah. Oh, a book that has a bunch of books in it. That's pretty good. I like that. Yeah, a bunch of books, a bunch of stories, and yep. Sometimes written in rhyme, right? Sometimes they rhyme. Yeah. Oh, yeah. The Iliad, yeah. Yeah. The Odyssey, there's 24 books. The Iliad has a bunch of books inside of it. Yep. Awesome. So we're going to do an acrostic poem today, and I have some worksheets you can take to the intention table, activity table, and you can draw pictures, you can write words, whatever you want to do. So I made some examples of empathy acrostic poems. So an acrostic poem, it spells the word empathy. You can see that. And it goes down. And then you put words next to each letter that start with that letter, usually. So I wrote some empathy acrostic poems. So empathy, even monkeys practice actions towards helping you. There you go. Empathy, even monkeys. There you go. There you go. Okay, so what are ways, here's another empathy acrostic. What are some ways that we can practice empathy? So I put words of how we can practice empathy. So we can practice empathy with knowing our emotions and the emotions of others, mindfulness, perspectives, looking at different perspectives, acceptance, right, of people. We can practice empathy by trying. We can practice empathy by holding hope. And we can practice empathy by saying yes to empathy. Yeah. So that's ways that we can practice empathy. And then I wrote just some emotions, right? Because empathy is about recognizing emotions. So empathy, excited, mystified, peaceful, angry, terrified, happy, and yippee! So those are some acrostic poems that I did. And I want to encourage y'all to do some if you'd like today. So if you take an empathy acrostic and you can work on it at home or here, there you go. And you can go back and sit at the intention table or with your folks. All right. Thanks for coming up, y'all. And keep practicing empathy. Woo!
Very bright kids, very bright parents. So, oh yeah, she does. It's time for our offering. Our offering in July is taken up on behalf of Tomorrow's Women. Based out of Santa Fe, their mission is to train young women from Palestine, Israel, and the United States to be strong, compassionate leaders who partner to resolve conflicts and inspire action that promotes equality, peace, and justice for all. You can use the QR code on the screen for the Givelify app. And we'll go ahead and take our, I'm supposed to say thank you for sharing your monetary gifts this morning. May what you give bring you joy. Thank you for your generosity this morning. May your gifts help sow the seeds of peacemaking in Israel and Palestine.
So during this time of our prayer and meditations, you are invited to come up to our candles of community space here or in the back. You can light a candle and write a joy or sorrow in our book to be read aloud. And during this time, you can remain seated and join me in singing our meditation hymn, number 391, Voice Still and Small. And we will sing this 3 times through today. Today we lift up all of the joys and sorrows on our hearts. We continue to lift up those affected by the flooding in Texas. And prayers have been lit and written for meditation, contemplation, and regaining peace in my life. May all of our joys and sorrows, spoken and unspoken today, remain in this place and in the silent places of our hearts this morning. Join me in a time of prayer and meditation with this prayer for a time in need of empathy by Tanya Kothran. God of many names, teach us to consider also how others experience the world, to understand how my reality and their reality are different, and yet they share qualities of the same core desire. Teach us to listen for shared feelings, for places of connection. Teach us to be curious and open to hearing differences. Teach us to love into brokenness, to give space for, to be patient with, healing. Let us be strong in our vulnerability, in our not knowing, in exposing our less than perfect, scary bits to those in front of us. Give us courage to face judgment, scorn, and hatred because of the greater good. Let us be disciples of essential goodness, strong in our knowing that in each being there is a divine light of the soul. Give us the strength to keep feeling empathy, even when we are tired and broken. May it be so. Thank you, Yelena. So we are gifted in our community to have many people who write poetry, and I'm so glad that lots of these folks will be sharing poems with us today about empathy. And one person who writes poetry in our congregation is Kelly Dolejsi. She is camping right now and going to be attending Hummingbird Camp's performance with her kiddos. So she sent us a video, and she's actually reading someone else's poem today. So we will bring that video up to begin our empathic poetry time.
Hi, I'm Kelly Dolejsi, and I'm going to share an empathetic poem by Andrea Gibson from their book, You'd Better Be Lightning, published by Button Poetry. The poem is called What Love Is, and please note that I am leaving out a really long stanza for the sake of time. What love is. She was on tour with me. She was on tour with me because I'd always preferred long distance, and I'd finally grown wise enough to know never to trust my preferences. Driving to a show one day, I realized the venue where I'd be performing was only 30 minutes from her parents' home. I hadn't met them yet, and I wasn't sure I ever would, when out of nowhere, they called and asked her to add them to the guest list. One tear sprinted down her cheek, like it was running to a mailbox to open a letter it had been waiting for 700 years. As for me, I vomited in my mouth and swallowed it like a champ. Right before showtime, she ran into the green room to tell me they'd arrived. Her smile, a jump rope, stretched from one side of the room to the other, her breath leaping up and down in giddy celebration. They're here, they're actually here. The two of us were like a team in a huddle right before the most important game of our queer lives, when a group walked in with a flyer for a protest, asking me to announce the details on the mic. It was a protest organized urgently to stop fracking in the state. Yes, of course, I said, tucking the flyer into a pocket with my set list. Then I saw the jump rope of my girlfriend's smile drop. What's wrong? I asked. Honey, fracking is why my dad has a job, she said. What? I can't not announce the protest, I told her. I know, she said. It would be a crime against my conscience. She said, I know. Heart big as the Titanic, sinking to the bottom of the sea. I stepped on stage. Her father was the first person I spotted. He was impossible to miss, a lumberjack in a forest of asymmetrical haircuts that looked even more asymmetrical next to her parents' straight backs, straight as telephone poles, and me, desperate for lines that could reach them. Resting the flyer for the protest at my feet so I could announce it near the end, I told myself, if you were going to be anything in the world tonight, you better be lightning. You better find something in you honest enough to strike them. For 75 minutes, I spoke about nothing but love, how everything but I love you is small talk, how their daughter was the only person in the world sweet enough to always call me honey, how the first time we shared a bed, she laid down with her arms tight at her side like a mummy, so terrified she was to love something and lose it again. When the show was near its end, I looked down at the flyer and back at them. I'd say the moment lasted a lifetime, but no one lives that long. I could see the protest organizers in the audience waiting. I could see their faith in my politics and what they were sure was about to march from my lips. Well, I remembered the one tear that raced down my girlfriend's face. One tear with guts enough to hope. The look in her eye when she ran into the green room, belting, "They're here, they're here." I walked off the stage without saying a word against drilling the heart out of the earth. I walked up to the green room, a hypocrite, a failed activist, with my face in my hands on the couch, when her father burst through the door, his head nearly axing a hole through the ceiling, tears, like a giant's tears, covering his face. "I'm 76 years old," he said, "and I just tonight figured out what love is." There is no moral of this story. There is only light and sadness. There's no moral of this story. It's just a moment in my life where I did something wrong, and the earth, who has never not known what love is, held me anyway. Thank you.
That was powerful. And now I would like to invite Henry Finney to read some of his poems for us today. Henry, would you like to come on up? Yeah. Thank you for being here, too.
Morning. I have a few poems that. Oh, thank you, John. Is that better? Good. Okay. These are poems that I collected along with some of my graphic art well, the subtitle is A Journey of Spiritual Healing. My son had died, and one of the ways I dealt with that, coped with that, was writing poetry. Turned out to be a very good way to do it, for me anyway. And so I wanted to share some of the poems, 5 or 6, that I wrote in that situation. The first one is entitled Glowing Red. Let me tell you about the time it never stopped raining, the time my memories washed away in roiling flood. There had been signs, sleeping all day, forgetting to shave, arriving late, speaking too softly because there seemed no point. Flowers didn't bloom that spring. It was the year my father died in a public home where blue paint chips hung, where nurses smiled and walked away, assuming he was deaf. It just rained and rained until one morning the sun, after enlightening eastern mythic lands, warmed the great ocean and returned full cleansed, glowing red on my adobe wall. This is the shortest of my poems, but it expresses the emotion. It's called Mother and Child. A child shrieks in the black of night. Who now will hold the mother? I seem to be losing my place here, but that's all right. We'll find some of them. This is a longer one, but it has, when I write poetry, sometimes a phrase emerges, unexpected. And the phrase in this poem is the title. It's called The Lives of Grasses. Recovering from my deep frozen winter, I wander now amid a sea of grasses, of new-grown wildflowers, where just last week, I've lost track, snow lay deep. No path remains. Despite your absence, summer has secretly returned. No pretending winter losses anymore. I reawaken like this field, whose sea of waving tassels, swishing, aromatic, beckoning savory awareness bids me to remember a primeval gratitude for the lives of grasses. I reaffirm, re-enter my neglected garden, step through grassy clumps, inhale fragrances from the east. Once, years before, to service coming campers, machines broken, I tried to mow a great grass field with clippers. Overwhelmed by impossibility, I was reduced to solitary snips. One snip, another snip, then the next, swallowed by the boundless field. Will dissolving, hope gone, I found this endless clipping by some miracle, snow now forgotten, brought warm release, saved me when my trance was slowly permeated by distant throbbing motor sounds. By then I was delirious with the scent of mown grasses, each clip, each snip, nudging open a gateless gate to this now. This is called Alas. I want to go where good friends linger to write a poem of sorrow in a room where we brothers went to play and laugh and build a model plane that, when tested, came to ruin. But no one's there. Dust floats in the sunlight. Too late. He left to write a book of dollars without me. I'll write my poem alone. He hardly recognizes me now, alas. This was written for my brother. It's called Flight. Dear brother, as you turn the gate, no emptiness is not just void, but boundlessness, where all rejoins the flowing river of our fate, where lives arise and fade perchance, where Shiva and the ancients dance. Your labor's gifts will live on long, like generations of a song, and now as payment in reverse, your breath blends with the universe. From teachers' love and radiant dreams of golden gods and wars foreseen, of benefactions and release, from karmic bonds and on to peace, you've glimpsed their mysteries past the door and know your Buddha mind will soar. So when your fledgling moment comes, don't hesitate nor judge the height, but let your Lama teacher nudge you into endless flight. This poem is called Farewell. At last, after years of darkness, everywhere I hear the rustle of cottonwood leaves fluttering in the sun, and in their midst, my dead mother and father quietly converse. Well, if there's another poem I've got, it's lost. So let's see. Well, I think that I'll end with a poem that's silly, not quite so serious, not serious at all. But if you have been in the same situation, you'll experience some empathy, at least. It's called Junk. The junk upon this table is a mess I do not want. I'll never be forgiven if without an inkling why, it always just sits waiting here for projects I don't start. Perhaps I thought I'd use it someday for a job unknown, anticipating things I'd want, not seeing the chaos that I'd sown. The resulting mess has grown so large it's gotten out of hand. So now it totally prevents constructing what was planned, whatever that was. Now there's naught that can be built without cleaning up this pile of parts I might have used to make I know not what. Alas, this is the hoarder's plight, engulfed by stacks of stuff, fantasizing things to make as though there weren't enough. I think that's it, John. Okay, now I have to maneuver. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much, Henry, for sharing your sacred emotions and your sacred poem about junk. Thank you so much for sharing. And I'd like to invite Tyler to come up and share a poem that he has written.
So I wrote this poem about a week or two ago, and I wasn't thinking about empathy at the time, and then I think I lost in there. It started seeming like maybe this really does involve some empathy with all of us, and I think it's a large number that are really experiencing grief right now, a deep cultural grief and anger. And those are things to empathize with too. And but it's not just sinking totally into that, but sort of also looking for hope for our future. And then I was struck when we were singing in the voice still and small about calming my fears, that's part of what this is about too. And it's called When They Are Long Gone. When they are long gone, we'll most remember the laws they ignored while stealing power, and contempt they showed for half the nation with lies and insults, cruel tweets at all hours. When they are long gone, we'll still have nightmares of ice storm troopers snatching brown folks, innocent and guilty, the young and the old, without search warrants, due process revoked. When they are long gone, we will still cringe at cherry-picked history being shoved onto kids. So they'd swallow too the great white men myths and learn who truly deserves top bids. When they are long gone, we'll never forget the housing help stripped and food aid abridged, health care for the poor denied to dump cash into deep pockets of the overprivileged. We'll recall of that era dark stories, of the hubris and greed celebrations, as if leaders so lawless don't damage for decades a nation's foundations. In years to come, a meaner America will be heartbroken, hungry, and hot. We'll talk of past times of tolerance, kindness, and slowly rebuild as we remove rot. The tyrants now ditched, online demons slayed, millions of us will recall decency, a land of bruised and chastened people will rise built on fair opportunity.
Thank you, Tyler. And anger and grief are, we know, sacred emotions as well. So thank you for sharing your emotions with that poem. Satchel is going to share their poem with us.
Y'all printed yours out. Hello, my name is Satchel. I go by they, them, and I wrote this poem about 6 p.m. last night in a bout of depression and anger, but it is still within the theme, as verified by Tina. I have a friend who, like us all, isn't perfect. When she chooses an action, or often inaction, the result is my hurt. She asks, how can I do better next time? How do I tell her empathy? Listing every possible interaction is itself impossible. And it's not a single action. It's not 100 actions. It's insight and intuition, consideration and compassion. No school can teach that, and certainly no amount of trying to cram it down their throat will ever work. So that leaves me to conclude, the only reasonable solution to a lack of empathy is itself empathy. And then I would also like to end here with a quote that I particularly like, that I tend to use as a guiding light of sorts when I'm having a rough time. Never be cruel, never be cowardly. Hate is always foolish, and love is always wise. Always try to be nice, but never fail to be kind. Thank you.
Thank you, Satchel. Thank you. Never fail to be kind. I like that. So I'm going to share a poem I wrote as well. And just to give some context to this poem, I grew up in the Presbyterian denomination as a person who subscribed to Christian beliefs. The lessons that the New Testament books ascribe to Jesus' teachings, like the story of the Good Samaritan and the Matthew 25 scriptures that stated, "For I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you invited me in. I needed clothes, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you looked after me. I was in prison, and you came to visit me." These were essential writings in my learning of empathy growing up. I was taught to love my neighbor no matter what, and to help people no matter what. When I grew up as a Christian, we fed the hungry and welcomed the stranger. So I have written a poem to plead to the fake Christians to change, and I am admonishing them for their anti-Christian behaviors. So here goes an imperfect poem from an imperfect being in an imperfect world. For I was hungry and you gave me food. I was thirsty and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger and you welcomed me. I needed clothes and you clothed me. I was sick and you looked after me. I was in prison and you visited me. These words ascribed to Jesus no longer are taken into account by the fake Christians of this country who instead would rather stir hate and doubt. God is love. God is love were the teachings of my youth. How can you take something that isn't yours and twist it with your mouth? Taking God's name in vain is not saying God damn. It is using God as a toy for your ploys, for your own personal greed, power, and sham. Looking someone in the face when you take away their health care and food, reciting the scriptures in your head should change your moral mood. Whatever you did not do for the least of these, you did not do for me. If you read the scriptures, you would know that what you have done to others is sinful in God's eyes in your fake reality show. Are you following Jesus or just professing your belief? Are you living out the scriptures or just stealing them like a thief? If you thought about the struggle of others in this world, you might find compassion on the other side. Your heart might change and your actions too, and you might not have to run and hide. So I plead, stop using the scriptures for your personal gain. Please search your soul for a heart-centered vein. And we're going to end. So music, we know, is poetry written to song notes on a piano or otherwise. And some of these songs that I grew up clinging to deal with empathy. And it is in more of a Christian kind of language, but I wanted to just play for you some of these songs and end on a note of kindness and cultivating kindness as we go forth today. So I'm going to play these songs now.
Please rise in body or spirit for our closing hymn, number 1052.
Empathy will help. People care for each other. Empathy will heal. So let us go now and sing our closing song, The Way, and you can hold hands if you would like.